Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my December reading wrap up. The month of December was a very slow reading month for me. I unfortunately only finished 6 books, and I know you shouldn't be hard on yourself on how many books you read, but for me I had a lot on my physical TBR. I had a lot of books that I really wanted to get to, and that's why it's disappointing because I didn't really get to any. I didn't even get to my own favorite book clubs read because I just did not have time this month. I feel like December is just such a busy time for so many people, if not all of us, and so I just didn't really get much time to even pick up a book. And I've also been coming out of a massive book slump, and it's been lasting like a couple of months now, but I think I'm finally out of it. I'm also on work holidays until the end of January, so I've got more than enough time now to read as many books as I want. But with all that being said, I'm going to talk about the 6 books that I read in December and 1 book that I DNF'd. So let's just get straight into it. So the first book in December that I read was Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. The only other Ali Hazelwood book I have read is The Love Hypothesis. I read it like 2 years ago now, and I honestly didn't really enjoy it that much because I just found the characters in that to be really frustrating and annoying, and I just didn't connect with them or feel any chemistry within the book. But this one, on the other hand, I felt so much chemistry between the characters. I love how our main character Elsie is literally like a fake girlfriend to a bunch of people. Like, that is such a cool and like crazy job to have, and I loved reading about that within the book, and I loved seeing the relationship that sparked up in this book and how it came about. The only things that I don't like about Ali Hazelwood's book is the whole like women in STEM like science terms, only because it makes me feel really stupid, because when I'm reading those like sciencey parts of the book, it honestly just goes over my head. Like, I don't know what I'm even reading. I don't understand it. I'm just not an academic person. I literally left school at the end of year 10. So for that reason, I gave it 4 stars instead of 5. But I did really love Ali Hazelwood's writing in this, and I'm very excited to read more books from her now. The next book I read in December was One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This has been on my priority TBR for a couple of months now. I literally went out of my way to go and buy it from a bookstore because I could not find it anywhere, and I had to drive like 45 minutes to actually go and get this, and then my boyfriend spilt a drink on it and now it's got water damage on it. But anyway, I went into this book completely blind. Honestly, I had no idea what it was about. The only thing I knew was that it was a fantasy, and I was very excited to go into another fantasy because I'm definitely getting into my fantasy era. So I'm going to try to explain to you the premise of this book the best that I possibly can. So pretty much in this society there is these different cards. They're kind of like tarot cards, but they're different, and each card has a power, and the person that holds the card has those powers of the card. But there's also a negative side to each power, because obviously with positive there has to be negative as well, and that's all I'm going to tell you, because I went into this blind and I was so pleasantly surprised. I mean, I knew this was going to be a 5-star read before I even went into it. That was literally confirmed within the first couple of chapters. I knew it was going to be 5 stars, and I have a feeling that book 2, which is Two Twisted Crowns, will be a 6-star read, because the way that this book ended, it ended on such a big cliffhanger. And I'm going to go into the second book very soon. I've just been reading some other books in between. The next book I have is Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, which is the 4th and final book in the Magnolia Park series as of right now, because the next book is coming out in February, which I'm so excited about. Every single book in this series has been 6 stars. Obviously I can't really talk about this book without spoiling anything, but I just love the character development and the drama within all of these books in this series, and every single character in this series have such like negative but also positive traits about them, and that's what I love so much. The characters just feel so real, and that's my favorite part about it. I feel like I'm reading about real people. It feels like Gossip Girl, but also this book broke my heart, and I wish I got more answers out of this book. But with all that being said, it was still a 6-star read, and I cannot wait for the 5th book in this series to come out. The next book I have is Weapon by Lynette Noni. This is the 2nd book in the Whisper duology, so I always talk about Whisper on my YouTube channel and my TikTok and everything like that. By the way, you should go and follow my other social medias because I'm definitely more active on those. But yeah, I always talk about it, and I always talk about how much I loved it and how much I was surprised by it, because I went into it not expecting to love it as much as I did, and maybe that's why it just exceeded my expectations, so it just felt like such an amazing book. But this one was even better than Whisper. Like, the way that this duology like all summed up together, I'm obsessed with. I love how everything came together. There was so many twists at the end, and I don't go into like a sci-fi book expecting twists. I kind of only go into like thrillers expecting that, but these books very much surprised me with how they all came together. But I also just loved it so much, and I also loved the little romance subplot in this series. I wish we had like a little novella or something of the romance, because honestly it's just so cute, and he calls her Chip, and I love that so much. That's like one of my favorite nicknames in a book. The next one I read was Flock by Kate Stewart. I've been putting this one off for so long. I actually included it in a couple of TBRs a couple of months ago, and then I actually like showed my boyfriend like 4 books and got him to choose my next read, like just like not for a video or anything, just for myself, and this is what he chose. And let me tell you, I'm so glad that he chose this book, because I would have not picked this up for so much longer. I couldn't not go into the second book as soon as I finished this one. I honestly can't even really explain what this book is about. It is a romance, and it's kind of like not mafia romance, but like the male main character is in some sort of like gang, and that's like I can't explain this book, but it's just so good. And I don't like spice in books, but the spice in this book, and I was literally reading it in public too, and I was like, damn, I need to actually stop reading right now because this is too much for me right now. If you've read this, I'm talking about the boat scene in particular. And yeah, that's all I'm going to tell you, because going into this blind is honestly the best thing you can possibly do. I still don't know like what to even expect out of this series, and I don't know like where this series is going to go in terms of relationships. I'm very excited to see where it goes, because I'm just obsessed. I cannot believe it took me so long to read this. The last book I read was actually on my Kindle, and that was Suicide Med by Frida McFadden. This one was the last psychological thriller I had to read from Frida McFadden, and I was very much pleasantly surprised, because I went into it expecting not to like it that much, but I absolutely loved it. There was like 6 different characters' point of view that we get in the book. Not only do we get different points of view, we find out like a key factor to the big story altogether from each character. We get to see each character's different thoughts and what they think is going on, and the way it all came together just shocked me so much. I was not expecting the ending. I wasn't expecting a lot of things that came out of the characters' different points of view, and I just loved it so much, so I ended up giving that one 4.5 stars. And then the book that I'm talking about that I actually DNF'd halfway through, I just thought that I had to mention it in this video because I feel like I'll get questions if I don't, and I have talked about it previously in a couple of videos now throughout my Bookmas videos, and that is Never by Jessa Hastings. This came out at the start of December, and it was one of my most anticipated releases. I was so excited for this book, and I was expecting something so amazing and magical to come out of this book, but honestly I just don't think it was done well at all. And I saw Larry Reed's talk about this as well, and she explained it in a really good way, and that was that even though Peter Pan, the original story, is like, you know, it has a lot of problematic issues in it, Never being a retelling didn't have to include those issues. It definitely could have left a lot of things out of it that I think were very much not needed. Like there was just quite a few issues in the book, and I just did not feel comfortable reading it. I actually physically could not read that book because it made me feel uncomfortable, and it takes me a lot to feel uncomfortable reading a book, so I was very disappointed by that. Obviously I did not give it a rating because I did DNF it, but yeah, I don't really want to say much more about that because it's a very controversial topic right now about that book. But yeah, that sums up the end of this video. That was the 6 books that I read in December. Even though I didn't read many books this month, it was a very successful reading month. Like I think like almost every single book here was almost a 5-star read, and I don't think I've had any months with this many good books in the same month, so it was successful in the sense of that. I just wish that I had time to read more because there were so many books that I wanted to read this month. With all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a comment below of your favorite read of December because I'd love to know, and I'd love to get some more recommendations. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.